For 8 long years, the boy touched his ear. Doctors noticed. Specialists examined him. Machines scanned him. And every single one said the same thing. There's nothing we can do. Ethan Monroe had been born into silence. At 8 years old, he had never heard laughter, music, or his own name spoken out loud. His father, Daniel Monroe, knew the sound of power very well. He was a billionaire, private jets, global companies, homes in 3 countries. But none of it mattered, because the one thing he wanted most was something money couldn't seem to buy. His son's hearing. Daniel had lost his wife, Claire, during childbirth. She never got to hear Ethan cry, never got to whisper his name. And Daniel carried that guilt like a shadow. He promised himself that Ethan would never suffer alone. So he searched the world, top hospitals, renowned experts, luxury clinics in Europe and Asia. Each visit ended the same way, with sympathy, expensive reports, and quiet resignation. Congenital deafness. Permanent. Daniel smiled politely, wrote another check, and refused to accept it. Because Ethan was all he had left. The Monroe estate was enormous, but it felt empty. No music. No television. No sounds echoing through the halls. Daniel believed silence made things easier for his son. What he didn't realize was that it was slowly breaking them both. That's when Maya Alvarez entered their lives. Maya was 26, newly hired as part of the housekeeping staff. She didn't have a degree, she didn't have connections. She had one reason for being there: her grandmother's nursing home bills were overdue, and this job was her last chance to keep the woman who raised her safe. On her first week, Maya noticed something no one else had. Ethan touched his right ear constantly. Not casually, not randomly. Like it hurt. Sometimes he winced. Sometimes he froze for a moment, like the pain stole his breath. The staff had learned not to question anything about the boy, but Maya couldn't unsee it. She began paying attention. Ethan sat alone most days, lining up toys perfectly, staring out windows, watching a world he couldn't hear. Maya never spoke to him at first. She simply helped quietly fixing a broken toy, leaving a folded paper bird on the stairs. One morning, Ethan left her a note. "Thank you," that was when Maya knew. One afternoon, while helping Ethan with a puzzle, she saw it clearly: a dark obstruction deep inside his ear. Her heart started pounding. Years ago, her cousin had lost his hearing the same way. Doctors missed it. Everyone assumed the worst. Until someone finally looked closely. Maya wanted to tell Daniel. But fear stopped her. Who would believe a housekeeper over world-famous doctors? Days passed. Ethan's discomfort grew worse. Then one evening, while Daniel was away, Ethan collapsed into silent tears, clutching his ear. Maya knelt beside him, her hands shaking. She looked again and knew she was right. With gentle care, guided by instinct and prayer, she removed what had been blocking his ear for years, and then it happened. Ethan gasped. A real sound. His eyes widened as he looked around the room, startled by the ticking clock on the wall. "I hear," he whispered. For the first time in his life, sound rushed in soft, overwhelming, miraculous. Moments later, Daniel walked in. He froze when he saw his son standing, eyes bright, staring at the world like it had just been born. "Dad," Ethan said clearly. "I can hear you." Daniel collapsed to his knees. At the hospital later that night, doctors confirmed it. The obstruction had been visible in older scans, marked, noted, and ignored, because ongoing treatments brought more profit than a cure. Daniel returned to the estate shaken and ashamed. He found Maya waiting quietly, expecting to be fired or worse. Instead, the billionaire bowed his head. "I searched the world for a miracle," he said, voice breaking. "And it walked into my home carrying a mop." Ethan ran to Maya and hugged her tightly. "You listened," he said. And for the first time in years, the Monroe house was filled with sound, laughter, music, and a boy discovering his voice. Sometimes miracles don't come from titles or wealth. Sometimes they come from someone who simply cares enough to notice.